guys can take a seat in the physical. But as one of my mentors says, Miss Darla, she says, you can sit down in the physical, but don't sit down inside. Inside, we're going to be alive. We're going to be excited because we know how this whole story ends. Jesus wins it all for us. Sorry if I ruined the plot for you guys tonight, but I think that we all need to know that going into tonight. You see, I'm so glad to be here with you guys today. It's been a rough week, just being tired, just running all around. It's been a rough time even getting here. There was lots of traffic today on my way here from Austin. It was crazy. She said, amen. She must know. Yeah, it was crazy. But I thought back at it and I said, there must be a message that needs to go out today. There must be someone who needs to hear that message. And so I'm not going to let the enemy even get me down in the spiritual. I'm not even going to let him get me down with my face. I'm going to smile, even though it doesn't even look like I should be smiling. So I hope that you guys would do the same with me tonight, and that we would be so excited about all that God is doing. And so I want to get right into this thing tonight. Matt came to me and he asked me to teach in our last week of relation slips. So this is our last week. Mac and Lisette have done such an amazing job leading us through this time. So much growth has taken place, even in my life alone, just from everything. And so when I was asked to speak about it, I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm ready. But when I went home and I began to think about it, I thought, what can I tell all of these people about relationships? I mean, I'm no expert at relationships. I don't know a whole bunch about them, to be completely honest with you. Majority of my life was spent not in relationship with girls at all, so I didn't have a girlfriend for much of my life. So I'm like, what can I tell them? But I think the encouragement came when God said, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story of redemption, a story of grace, a story of his love, and I'm not going to let nothing stop me. I don't care. Maybe you look at me and you say, hey, man, that's just a 22-year-old, but I promise you that God has a word for somebody today. He has a word for me today. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to see and unpack what he has for us today. I'm excited. I've realized that relationships are very complicated in the time that I've been alive. But one of the relationships that I truly do cherish a whole bunch. I love my family. I love my friends. I love everybody. But it's this amazing young lady named Michaela. Somebody say, woo, woo. I can't even do that. Sorry, guys. I'm actually going through puberty right now. It's no big deal. She's an amazing woman. And so I have a little treat for us tonight. I actually have the initial DMs that I sent Michaela on Instagram, okay, guys? You might say I slid in or whatever, but I promise you the intent was good. The motive was good. It was a good heart. I'll read it for you. Hi, sorry, this is really random. I'm Sam. I'm not really sure how I know you. I think we met at Now Camp a few years back. But I saw you at Hangout, and I really wanted to go this year. It was a festival. She goes on to tell me about her church and all that good stuff. Take it off. I'm cringing right now. Please, just take it. Come on, please. All right, thank you, Jesus. All right, maybe I'll post it on my Instagram, a screenshot. You can go look at it then. But that's how it all happened, guys. I don't know how I got lucky. Some of you guys out there like, man, maybe I need to try that method, right? I met you back the other week at this place. And you're like, what? I didn't meet you there. I don't know. Maybe you try it out. You tell me how it all goes. But that's how it went. And if you ask me, I would say that when I met Michaela and I walked into the relationship with her, and all of my relationships, I would say I was in a place of desperation. Just in all of my different relationships, whether that was with girls and pursuing girls, going from girl to girl and trying to find my value in talking to different girls, whether that was with my family and trying to search for their approval and everything, and whether it was with my friends and me having expectations of them and them having expectations of me. I was in a place of desperation, and I made some really, really bad decisions during that time. But I've seen how God has grown me in the time, in these even just past 4 years in such tremendous ways. You see, when I stopped just seeking out of my desperation and going gung-ho and saying, I'm just going to do this, God led to me a beautiful young lady, a girl who loves Jesus Christ, a girl who has conversations with Jesus on her way to work. Can I get an amen? Man, you need to be looking for a girl like that. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to put it out there. She's amazing. She encourages me, but she also calls me out. That's tough. Guys, Suck it up, okay? I know, macho, this, suck it up. Let them encourage you. Let them tell you how it is. You see right here shaking his head. He must know a lot about that. Well, ask this dude. He knows really, really good. And so I want to talk about desperation. Now, so many times in our lives, we can be in a place of desperation, especially in our relationships. And so the title of my message tonight, if you're taking notes, is this. It is Promise Over Desperation. Promise over desperation. How we can walk our lives out on God's promises rather than making bad decisions based on a time of desperation. Because guess what? That's exactly where the enemy wants you. He wants you in a place of desperation. He wants you in a place where you don't know everything that's going on. See, I looked up the definition of desperate, and it said feeling or showing or involving a hopeless sense that a situation is so bad and so impossible to deal with. Have you ever had a relationship like that where you felt like, man, this relationship is going nowhere? This relationship is hopeless. Maybe with a guy, maybe with a girl, maybe with a family member. You're constantly walking into your home and you're thinking, man, this situation is not getting any better. Or with friendships, and we're thinking, man, why are we not being so compatible during this time? It's hopeless. It's hopeless. Now I looked up the definition of desperation, and it said this: a state of despair, typically one which results in a rash or extreme behavior. And this is where we find ourselves so many times in these moments of desperation, and they result in a rash behavior. They result in us making decisions we never should have made. They result in us making decisions that do not match up with the character that God has for each and every one of us. And this is exactly where the enemy wants us. He wants us in this place because he's always been about disunity. He's always been about division amongst people. He's always been about tearing people apart. We need to stand on God's promises tonight. You see, I was listening to Erwin McManus recently, and he said something very profound, in my opinion. He said that we as humans are the only ones who can't seem to get this us thing together, who we are. We can't seem to actually figure out who we are. We go to psychologists, we go to counseling, we go to shrinks, we go to so many different sources just to figure out who we are. And even us as Christians sometimes deal with this, even though we have a father who's screaming at us, saying, you're my son, you're my daughter, and sharing all that we are with us constantly. And he said, we're the only species who has issues with this. And I began to think, this is very true. Tomorrow, I won't wake up and my dog is sitting on the couch reading a book and saying, you know what, Sam, I've made some new decisions. I'm no longer going to walk on all four legs. I don't want to be a dog anymore. I hate that word. I don't want to eat food off of the ground. I don't want to eat kibbles and bits. I want to go to a 5-star restaurant and get myself a job. I don't think that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and find a dog doing that. I don't think that we'll go to SeaWorld in the summer and find out that all of the dolphins have gone on strike and said, we're not doing it anymore, man. I'm sick and tired of doing these tricks for you humans. I'm sick and tired of smiling for you guys. I don't want to be a dolphin anymore. This is not the reality. I don't think that any of these things would happen, but we as humans just can't quite figure out who we are. But I think that the complexity of who we are and the complexity of our relationships is actually what makes us so beautiful. It's what makes our relationships so much more intentional. It's what makes us be able to have relationships with a guy, with our brother, with our friend, and he's not even blood. We can say, you're brother from another mother. Or we can have our girls, and you say, yo, you're my sister from another mister. It's that complexity that gives us the opportunity to be able to love people and to share a moment with someone, to go back on memories and laugh about old memories and cry about memories. It's what gives us the ability to be able to love a baby who enters the world and love this new relationship before it's even fully formed, and to be able to mourn, but even celebrate in the passing of someone that is dear and close to us. This is what the complexity of who we are produces, and it's so very beautiful, so very beautiful. But the enemy wants us to see this beauty as something ugly. The enemy wants to see the beauty of our relationships as division. He wants us to see the beauty of our relationships as something that will never quite work out. And he loves it when we're in places of desperation. And so many times when we're in a place of desperation, I believe that we can make some of the worst decisions of our lives. We can make decisions that are selfish, and we can make decisions that we will come back to regret. And so I want to take a look into the Bible, into the scriptures, and I want to take a look at a story of two guys, Jacob and Esau. And they're brothers. In their story, and just taking a look at their story, I think that they'll provide some insight to us about relationships, just in general. And so I'm excited to get into it. And so we're going to be coming out of Genesis, the 25th chapter. Genesis, the 25th chapter. But I want to give you guys a little bit of background on these two characters. I'll start off with Esau. Esau came out of the mother's womb first. And so he's the oldest. And Esau actually comes out quite hairy, which is why they call him Esau. Don't ask me why the Bible does this or why it names people based on their characteristics, but it just happened. He comes out hairy, and they say, that's a hairy baby. I'm going to name him Esau. I don't think that I would do that personally, or else we'd have a lot of more weird names, and we would have children that would come out, and we say, man, you got a big head, so I'm going to call you Big Head coming out. We would just begin to name them the most odd names, but this is what the Bible did, so I'm like, okay. Do as you please. And his brother, similarly, came out, and his name is Jacob. And the reason his name is Jacob is because he was grasping onto the heel of Esau. He was grasping onto the heel. So then his parents changed it up, and they said, well, how about we just name him off of what he does? And so we would probably come out with a lot of more babies named Crybaby or Pee Baby, who pees on himself all the time. We would just come out with these most bizarre names if we were to name our children after what they look like or even just characteristics of them. I don't know why the Bible did this, but they did it. And so we have Jacob and Esau. And the interesting thing about them is they're totally opposites. Esau's this manly man. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm a big man. I'm strong. I go out and I go hunting just for fun. I go out and I cut down trees just for fun. I'm that kind of dude who's going to be outside all of the time. If you guys know Daniel right here, I kind of think of Daniel when I think of Esau. He's a big man. He's like, I feel like he would be a very hands-on kind of dude. Not so hairy, but I love you, man. You're great. And then we got Jacob. Jacob would be the person who's like, I'm going to stay inside and I'm going to, watch Netflix. I would probably more associate with Jacob. I don't really want to be outside in the heat. I don't want to be in the forest. I don't want to be killing animals and skinning them and putting my hands on. I don't want to do it. And so I'm going to be inside. And so this is exactly what Jacob, who Jacob was. But he stayed inside and he cleaned. He washed dishes and he cooked. Michaela knows I don't do those things either. So I'm somewhere in between Jacob and Esau. So that's who we have. We have Jacob and Esau. And I want to go over an account. And this account really changed history forever. It really changed these people's lives, Jacob and Esau's lives. And before I get into it, I think that it's important that we know that the prophecy was that the older brother would actually serve the younger, that Esau would actually serve Jacob. And so as we look into this story, this is where the Bible picks up in verse 29. It says this, once when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country. Obviously, he's the manly man. He's in the country. Famished. He said to Jacob, quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished. Somebody say famished. Yes, he is famished. Anybody ever been famished? Maybe you're hungry right now. Maybe your stomach is, maybe the person who's sitting right next to you, their stomach's like, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, did you eat some of the food? Vincent made food. You should have got some. Is probably what you're thinking right now. Famished. We've been famished before, right? For some reason, it seems like I'm always famished when I make the decision or I make the law in my life that I'm going to start cooking at home. When I say I'm going to start cooking at home, I'm going home every day and I'm going to cook some food. I'm going to meal prep. I'm going to do the whole shebang. I'm going to do it all. I'm just going to cook everything. And then I get on the road and it's late at night. And I'm driving, and all the colors are flashing by me. And there's a Jack in the Box sign. There's a McDonald's sign. I don't like those. Let's just keep going. And so then there's a couple more that come up. Oh, and then there's Chick-fil-A, and I'm like, oh, man, that looks so good. Let me just keep going. And then it's like I have one more exit left before I cannot go back. There's no more food for me. I am famished. And then I just jerk off the road, and I go to, like, Chipotle or Chick-fil-A, or if I am broke, which seems to be more of a reoccurring thing. Y'all pray for me. I'm just kidding. I will go to Taco Bell. It's cheap. It's like, hey, I got myself a taco for like $1. It works. I'm famished. We've all been very, very famished in our lives. And this is the question I want to propose to you, and I'm going to kind of just leave it there, is how many of us are hungry and making decisions based on convenience? I'm gonna say that just one more time, and I'm just going to leave it right there. How many of us are hungry and making decisions based on convenience, based on what is closest to us, based on what's around me, based on what's accessible to us, which is exactly what Esau goes on to do. So we're going to keep on going on. And Jacob replies to Esau, "First, sell me your birthright." When I first read this, I was like, excuse me, say what? Like, wait, sell me your birthright for a bowl of stew? Come on now, I don't want to sell my birthright for a bowl of stew. Like, who's gonna do that? It just wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. It would be as like if I came up to you, Jabron, and I said, hey, I'm gonna give you my watch right now for all that you own. Give it all to me. Let's go. You see that? You see that face? No, I'm not gonna do that. Right? That would just be so totally weird. Michael, it's if I came up to you and I said, hey, I'm gonna give you my shirt right now, and I want you to give me your whole entire business. Like, just give it to me. I want it, man. I'll take it. I'll run it. Don't worry about it. That would be crazy for Michael to do something like that. To leave a business in my hands is crazy. All right, anyways. That's exactly what he's asking. But I want to pay attention to is the fact that Jacob went straight to that, which meant that he had to have been plotting. He had to have been scheming. He had to been searching around, thinking, okay, Esau typically comes in at this time. Let me set this plan up right here. He's gonna be super hungry. Hey, maybe he'll come in. He'll be super hungry, and I'll be able to give him this. Trade this for me. He had to have been watching and planning the steps out perfectly, and seeing exactly what things were, what the desires of Esau's heart was. And the enemy does the exact same thing to us. The enemy is watching, he's scheming, he's saying, oh, that relationship right there, they're actually playing with the lines right now of purity. Maybe I might step in. He's looking at our relationships and he's saying, oh, hey, you know what? That relationship right there, they're kind of getting a little bit more irritable with each other. I'm going to step in. I'm going to start looking around, looking for ways that I can tweak the relationship, looking for ways that one of them might sell out to me their birthright, their promise, and all they have. It reminds me of a story. That I've heard recently. This is a true story. Of this woman, and she took her, first off, let me tell you this. She had a pet snake. And first off, I'm like, yo, I love you. We'll be friends, but if you have a pet snake, I'm not coming to your house. I'm not hanging out with you. We're not going to chop it. I'm not going to go to the park and you be like, I'm going to bring my pet snake. I'm going to be like, no, we're not going to do that. That's just not for me. I don't hang with snakes, man. I don't do that kind of stuff. And so the woman has a snake. So she brings into the vet and she says, my snake here, he hasn't been eating. I've been giving him, extra rats, putting some gravy on there. I don't really know if that's what she said, but she's like, I've been trying to give him more food, and the snake's not eating anything. And so then the vet says, okay, let me go through a couple of questions with you. First question, have you been sleeping with the snake? She's like, well, you got me. Yeah, I've been sleeping with a snake. I mean, he suffers because he's lonely. And so we just been sleeping together. It's no big deal. I just put him in my bed, and he's like a cute pet. No, you sleep with dogs and cats. You don't sleep with snakes. Can I get an amen? That's all I'm saying. Oh, man, David's deep voice, amen. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's on it, bro. You're with me. Yeah. So she's like, yeah, I've been sleeping with him. So then the vet goes on, and he asks him another question. He says, has your snake been stretching out alongside you as you're going to sleep? Like vertical with you, kind of laying exactly with you, not over you, just kind of like long ways right by you. She's like, well, now that you mention it, yes, he has been kind of laying straight up beside me. And so the vet says, okay, I think I got the answer for you, ma'am. There's some good news and there's some bad news. The good news is that your snake is not dying. Awesome, great, yeah, snake's not dying. And then she's like, well, but the bad news is that the snake is preparing to eat you. And she's, what? Yeah, so the snake is actually preparing to devour you right now. He's been sleeping right by you to measure up to you. He's been sleeping right by you to see how big you are. He's been sleeping right by you, not eating, so he can make some room in his stomach so that at his right moment, he might be able to completely devour you. And at that point, I'd be like, the snake has got to go. I don't know what she did at that point. I don't really know what she did. But I'm wondering if we've been hearing some hisses in our relationships. if we've been seeing that the snake is actually coming up to us and measuring us up and saying, oh, they've been fighting more often. Oh, they can't have any peace in their home. Oh, they can't even get on the same page. He's been coming in and trying to cause disunity. I wonder if we're hearing some hisses in our relationship, and we can say, you know what, maybe that's the snake coming in. Maybe he's measuring up. Maybe he's seeing what the desires of our heart are. Maybe he can see where our vision is. Maybe he's looking at us and he's trying to devour us, and that's exactly what the enemy is doing. And if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, some of us are sleeping with the snake. I'm just saying, I'm going to shoot straight with you tonight. Some of us are hearing the snake. Some of us are sleeping with the snake. Some of us are like, why is my life going in the direction it's going? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? And it's because you've been sleeping with the snake. And God is saying, no, you need to push him away. You need to push her away. You don't need to be hanging around those people right there. Some of us are sleeping with the snake. So it goes on, and this is what he says. He says, look, I am about to die, Esau said. What good is the birthright to me? What good is the birthright to me? I love Michaela, but this is her favorite thing to say when she's hungry. She's like, I'm about to die. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she gets really dramatic. I love her to death. She's awesome. But she's like, oh, I'm so hungry. I'm going to pass out. And I look at her and say, no, you're not. You're going to be just fine. Don't worry about it. We're going to get you some food in your stomach. There's not even a sense of urgency. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just like, hey, girl, you got to chill. We're going to be okay. Don't worry. Come on, let's go. We're halfway there. We're going to be there. But Sam, I'm like, no, you ain't going to die, okay? We're going to make it. We're going to get a little stern. I don't know. So my question, though, out of all of this is what kind of excuses are we making? What kind of excuses? How are we justifying the decisions we're making in a moment of desperation? You see, for Esau, it was, I'm about to die. That's fine. Just go ahead. But what is the answer for you? How are you justifying it? Oh, they're really a good person. They're not, maybe you haven't seen the goodness, but I've seen their true heart. I know exactly who they are. I love them. Or maybe we'll say something along the lines of, well, they deserved it. They've been doing this and this. They've been doing A, B, and C, and so they deserved me to rage out on them and to push them away and to do this. We're justifying it. Maybe we're saying, oh, well, whenever we get together, we're going to start going to Bible study together. In the mornings, we're going to wake up and we're going to pray and we're going to do a devotional. Each of us will take turns and lead those devotionals and everything. That's great. But what kind of excuses are you making in your moment of desperation? Sometimes we can find ourselves making these excuses. And so many times our excuses sound so logical. They sound so right. This is the truth. What kind of excuses are we making? Are we seeking the Lord with the right answers? And so it goes on. It says, but Jacob said, swear to me first. So he swore an oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He ate and drank and then got up and left. I told them earlier, I said, it's going to have to be some meat in that stew for me to give anything. I don't want just some lentils. I think what is that? Is that beans? Is that beans? Yeah, I'm like, no, I don't need no bean stew. I need some meat stew. I need some kind of hearty, something, chicken, some protein or something. I don't know. But anyways, he sells him his birthright for the lentil stew. He sits down, he eats it, he feels really good. And on so many times, that's how it feels. It feels really, really good. Afterwards, we feel really good. What I want to say to you guys is stop chasing the temporary pleasure, because we all know that in the next 5 or 6 hours, Esau was ready to eat again. Esau was ready to eat again, but he had given away a promise that was for eternity, for a temporary pleasure. Are we giving away a promise that is for eternal, for a temporary pleasure? Are we giving away a promise that is for forever, for one night with this guy? Are we giving away a promise that is forever for us raging out on someone and breaking off ties? Are we giving this promise away for giving up on people around us? Are we giving those promises away? Don't settle for just a temporary pleasure. Because God's promises are eternal, but we got to know them. We got to know them. So finally, you guys probably like, get to the end of it, Sam. Like, you've been telling me this story for quite a while. I love stories. So this is where it ends. It says, so Esau despised his birthright. Esau despised his birthright. And part of me is like, well, why did he despise it? I mean, the birthright, guys, was a really big deal. This was a big deal. This meant that from a spiritual level, you were the spiritual leader of your family as the firstborn. This meant that you actually received a double portion, that you got more, that you got more than the other brothers. And first off, you give it away and you despise it. And so it leads me to think that sometimes we can really hate the places that we're in, where God is really trying to build us up, where God is really trying to mold us, where God is really trying to teach us a lesson, and we're standing there the whole entire time, and we're saying, I hate this place. I hate this place. I hate this. I hate the fact that our relationship is this way. I hate whenever they do this. I hate whenever they leave their shoes out. I hate whenever this. I hate whenever this. And we're just cursing the place where God has us and is trying to grow us, and he's trying to teach us. And we're cursing the promise. This is essentially what Esau did. He hated his birthright. Are we cursing the place that God has put us in to grow us, to teach us a lesson, to lead us to our promises? And so I just want to tell one more story to you guys tonight. And this story is actually going to be coming out of the New Testament. This will be in Luke chapter 8. And I want to see how these two stories parallel each other. And how two people who were in a moment of desperation went about their situation in such opposite ways and just totally different ways. And I want to talk to you guys about the woman with the issue of blood. She had an issue of blood for 12 years. She had a medical issue. She couldn't stop bleeding for 12 years, guys. This just blows my mind to think that someone could have a medical issue like this for 12 years. And even more than that, this woman had went to the best physicians. She had spent all of her money. She spent everything that she had. She gave it all away because she was seeking some kind of a healing, and she never received it. But I want to turn our attention to where we pick up in the story, because here in the story we pick up, and the woman has now reached out for Jesus's garments. She has reached out for Jesus's cloak. She has reached out for him, and this is exactly what happened. Jesus turns around and says, "Who touched me?" Jesus asked. When they all denied it, Peter said, "Bro, master, the people are crowding and pressing against you." But Jesus said, No. Peter, you're missing it. You're missing it, buddy. Someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me. Then the woman, seeing that she could not go unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. Then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." Somebody say peace. Go in peace. There were so many people crowded around Jesus. There were so many people trying to get to him, hear what he was saying, be close to him, figure him out, all these different things. But there was one woman who had suffered with an issue of blood for 12 years who said, "You know what? None of those things are going to stop me. I'm going to move you out of the way. No, I understand. I may not be strong enough, but I'm going to get there however I have to get there just so that I can touch Jesus' cloak." Just so I can touch Jesus' cloak. Guys, it's time that we start doing this in moments of desperation. Yes, there will be moments of desperation, but in moments of desperation, we have got to reach out to God. We have got to reach out and touch the hem of Jesus' cloak and stand on his promises and say, "You know what? No, I'm going to believe in this situation that as soon as I touch you, as soon as I reach out to you, there will be healing. There will be healing in this relationship. There will be mending in this relationship. There will be wisdom given to us on how to handle this situation." That is what we must do. We must do like the woman with the issue of blood. So I want to give you guys 3 points. Just 3 points really quickly. And I'm going to kind of tell you them already right now. It's God's timing. It's God's promise. It's our decision. I'll say it one more time. It's God's timing. It's God's promise. It's our decision. And this idea of timing can really frustrate people sometimes. Whenever people say, even in church, they'll say, you'll be going through a hard situation, and they'll be like, "Oh, just wait on the Lord. Oh, just wait on him. It's all in God's timing. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Just wait on him. Just wait on him." While this is very true, I don't think that we have truly mastered how to wait. I don't think we've truly mastered and we really understand what waiting on the Lord actually looks like, because when we look at Isaiah 40, waiting on the Lord doesn't look like just sitting here and be like, oh, when is God going to fix something? Oh, when is this relationship going to get better? Oh, when is he going to start treating me like his girlfriend? Oh, when is she going to start treating me like her husband? We're sitting here, we're just waiting, and like, oh, what are we going to do? Oh, time's going by. But here in Isaiah 40, this is what it says. It says, even the youth grow tired. Even the youth grow tired and weary, and the young men stumble and they fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Somebody say hope. Somebody say hope. Say hope like you actually mean it. Hope. Yes, those that hope in the Lord, he will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. So now this truly redefines what it means to wait. Waiting is not sitting and being hopeless. Waiting is not sitting and thinking, oh, when is it going to happen? No, waiting is being hopeful in the Lord. That's what waiting looks like, is being hopeful in the Lord, knowing that he's going to take care of it, knowing that he's going to provide for the relationship, knowing that he's going to do exactly what he says he's going to do. Maybe we can't hope in our partner. Maybe we can't hope in our friends. Maybe we can't hope in our family. My hope is that we could do all of those things, but what we need to know is that we have got to hope in the Lord. Hoping in the Lord is the only relationship that will bring you strength. Your friends won't. Your family won't. Hoping in the Lord, it is a promise of strength. It's God's timing. We've got to hope in the Lord in this time. The second one is God's promise. And here's the issue with this one. I don't think we completely understand promises, even on the most simple of levels. I recently got a bill on my card, and I looked at it, and it said, iTunes has just charged you. And I thought back, I said, okay, hold up. What happened? What happened here? And I went back, and it said, oh, try this free trial. I said, all right, cool. They said, put your card in. I said, all right, no big deal. It's a free trial. It's going to end. They said, oh, yeah, it'll end. I don't know. Maybe it was in fine print lettering or whatever else it was. But it did say, I guess it said, hey, if you don't cancel it, you're going to get charged. So I woke up, and I said, wait, this was a free trial. What is this? iTunes, you promised me it was going to be a free. I said, no, it's not free. Nah, yeah, that promise is going out the window. Those of us who trusted that Subway actually had a $5 footlong, it's not true. It's not there. I promise you guys. I've been there. There's so many stipulations. Like can't heat the sandwich up. Okay, cool. Can't put that kind of meat on it. Okay, cool. Can't even put that kind of veggies on it. I'm like, what is the promise anyways? It's not a real $5 footlong. By the time you get to the end of it, even if you get the sandwich as is, it's like $5.30. It's like, oh, okay, okay, go ahead and do that. All right, petty. Okay, anyways, we don't understand promises like that. And what's worse is some of us who have been hurt by some promises in some relationships. Some of us, our family members, have said, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to love you. And we don't feel loved by them. We feel like they broke a promise. Or maybe we were in a relationship with a guy or a girl, and they said, man, I love you. They were saying all the perfect things. I said, oh, you're so perfect, this, and that. Like, oh, yeah, this has got to be it. And then we were let down by it. And all of these different situations can come together to really shape our view of promises and what they look like, what they sound like, how they're wrapped up. And we can come to a place where we're like, I don't even trust God's promises. But today my prayer is that somebody's faith will be restored in God's promises. My hope today is that there's some people who have been broken by some relationships, and they would begin to seek the Lord and say, you know what, I'm going to stand on your promises. I'm just going to go ahead and just give it to you right now. I'm going to hope in you in the time that I'm waiting. I'm going to remember your promises. But here's the thing about promises. You got to know the promises. You got to know them. We expect, oh, yeah, I'm going to have all the promises, but you don't even know what you get. You don't even know what you get. You don't even know what the promises are. We got to start seeking God and saying, what are your promises? We got to start looking into his word and saying, what are the promises that you have lined up for my word, in your word for me? What does it look like that I'm a son and I'm a daughter? We say that all the time at church. What exactly does that look like? And he'll begin to reveal the promises to you. He'll begin to reveal the promises to you as far as relationships. He'll begin to reveal the promises to you as far as peace in relationships. He'll begin to reveal all those things to you. He's not hiding from you. We got to seek the promises. We got to know that they're there. And finally, the last thing is, it's my decision. It is our decision to make. I always thought it was interesting that there were so many other people who were surrounded around Jesus. So many more people were pressing up against him and pushing him, and Peter was right. Peter was right. Yeah, there was a lot of people who were there. And I believe that so many of them, they had issues in their lives of their own. They had things that they needed Jesus to heal them of. They had issues in their relationships. They had issues in their bodies. But why was it that the woman with the issue of blood received her healing? Because she reached out in faith, because she reached out and was intentional about it. I'm wondering if somebody in here actually wants to get intentional about reaching out for the promises that God has for you in the relationships. I'm wondering if somebody's saying, you know what? Yeah, it looks like this, but I'm going to get real intentional about this. I'm going to surround myself with people who, even when I start to complain about the situation I'm in, they're going to say, you know what? I'm going to build you up right now. I need to hold you accountable. I need you to know that God is right there. He is walking with you in your relationship. He is guiding you. Seek him. You need to get some friends who are going to be around you. When you go to gossip to them, they're going to say, have you talked to God yet? Hey, wait, have you talked to God about this situation yet? Maybe I shouldn't speak into it until you talk to God about it. You need to get some people around you like that. We need to start getting on our mirrors, and we need to start writing God's promises on our mirrors. You might write a promise about your husband, and you're like, oh, man, he's always doing this, but I'm going to write this promise about my husband. Your husband wakes up in the morning, he's like, what does this Bible scripture mean? Hey, say this, hey, honey, it's all good. Don't worry about it. God is working. There's a promise. There's a promise that's coming. There's a miracle that's coming. It's our decision. Are you going to reach out? Are you going to grasp it? You need to know it's God's timing. But in that time, we need a hope. We got to have hope. It's not just hopelessly just sitting there waiting, looking desperately. No, we got to hope. We need to know that it's God's promise. His promises are stronger than any other promise. His promises are stronger than any other promise. We got to get to know them. We got to know God's promises. And finally, it's our decision. We got to reach out. We got to reach out. And what's more than that, guys, church, we got to set the example for how relationships are supposed to look. We've got to set the example. It breaks my heart when I see issues in people's relationships. It breaks my heart when I see people who are hurting and pain because of something that went on in a relationship. It breaks my heart, but we got to set an example for the world. We've got to be the example.